Daughters of Freedom. That was a song from a different time. Like many of you today, in my time, I fought for basic human rights, rights as guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution. Now, of course, when I was living, there were people who dismissed me as nothing more than a meddling old maid. Yet, I knew failure was impossible when standing for the right cause. And though I'm an ancient spirit now, I still believe failure is impossible, especially when you stand for a cause that's greater than yourself. As an example, during one year, and that was in 1871, I traveled 13,000 miles across this country. I traveled on horseback, I traveled by stage and wagon, and I gave at least 170 lectures, all to anyone who would listen, about the right for U.S. citizens, all U.S. citizens, to vote. You can imagine my work was exhausting, and to make matters worse, women were not supposed to speak in public. On top of that, I had a huge fear of public speaking and felt like wilting away every time I stood in front of an audience. In addition, I was harassed and ridiculed at every turn. Yet, I kept organizing and agitating and educating for over 50 years. You see, along with others, I shared a vision, a dream that one day all U.S. citizens would have the right to vote, women as well as men. And that vision gave me a hope that one day there would be equality and justice for all. And that vision was what kept me going year after year. Now, it's not that I believed the vote would guarantee justice or the placement of decent people in government. Actually, I was the one who argued that most politicians were owned body and soul by the gold gamblers of the nation. And I suspect what was true in my time could still possibly be true today. Yet I believed voting mattered. I believed the vote was one way, someday, all U.S. citizens could have a say in government. At times, the opposition to our cause of universal suffrage, the right for all people to vote, felt overwhelming. It seemed like the entire country was against us. And at one point, I was even arrested for my efforts. Nonetheless, I knew I could not give up. I was compelled to keep advocating because I had a vision for a better future. I had a vision for a future when women would not only vote, but perhaps even serve on the Supreme Court, and maybe, just maybe, someday become president. So now, before I'm spirited away, I have to ask, what about you? What about you? Do you also have a vision of equality and justice for all? And if so, let me give you 3 pieces of advice. These pieces of advice have served me well in my time. So first, never give up on a cause you believe in, especially if it's a cause greater than your own. You know, elected officials, they come and go, but causes that serve the greater good, those will endure. And second, be willing to speak up, speak out, and make a difference. Don't let fear quiet your voice. Seek opportunities to improve and grow. Your voice does matter, so make sure it's heard. And third, stay involved. Take your right to vote seriously. Stay informed and educate yourself. Everyone has a responsibility to make the world a better place, not just the elected officials. Do these 3 things. Never give up, speak up, and stay involved. And then you'll discover what I know to be true. Failure really is impossible when we find that greater purpose, that greater cause that serves the greater good. And one more thing. You really are never too old or too young to make a difference.